Well, good morning. Welcome. And we'll get started with our lesson in just a moment. And we're talking about coveting, the last two commandments. The last two commandments. And you know what those last two commandments are? You shall not covet your neighbor's house. And the 10th one is you shall not covet your neighbor's manservant, maidservant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. Those are the commandments that we're going to be looking at today. So moving forward, Ray going to get into Quiz Bowl right now. And so the final commandments relate to coveting property, coveting relationships, neither A nor B, or D, both A and B. Which one would be your guess? Well, we are going to be looking at, how about D, both A and B. It deals with both relationships as well as it deals with property, stuff that belongs to us, and relationships that we have with other people. So that's what it connects to today. So the word covet means, how many of us know what the word covet actually means? Let's find out. To want, maybe. To steal. Related. To want something so much that you scheme to get it, now it's closer. Or D, to want something so much that you work for it. How about which one? How about C? Now, coveting takes a whole lot of forms, but fundamentally what we're looking at simply is this. You want something that belongs to somebody else. That's a key element also in this. You want something so much that belongs to somebody else. I'm talking to myself. What's up, Tyler? Oh, there you go. Well, walking in right into it anyway. I like the color of your shirt. That looks good on you. Anyway, coveting is all about scheming to get something else that belongs to somebody else. Andrew, good morning, sir. Are we awake yet? Okay, that's good. So coveting is trying to get something that belongs to somebody else. And you have this somewhat of a desire, a very influential desire to have something else that belongs to somebody else. Most of the wars in the history of the world can be linked to oil, gold, coveting, or D, bad breath. Since we're in the realm of the coveting commandment, I would go right with you, Tyler. Coveting, that's true. I want something that somebody else has. Now, it might be the oil and the gold, but I want it because I want it bad enough that I'm going to start something that shouldn't happen. Let me ask you this. Coveting in and of itself doesn't work alone in the context of the commandment. What other commandments are broken when we covet? What other ones are broken when we covet? Then, second one, okay, we can use God's name in an incorrect manner. I want that blank, blank, blank. Any other thoughts?
Which one is don't covet your neighbors?
Those are the ones, 9 and 10. Those are the ones we're talking about right now. How about number 4? Honor your father and mother. Okay. How about number 5? You shall not murder. People have been killed over other people's desire for something else. We'll talk about that in one of the other questions that are coming up. You shall not commit adultery. I covet my neighbor's wife. Stealing, false witness. I think you're getting to the point that and the big one, the most important one, is the first one. You shall have no other gods before me. I want something so bad that it becomes so important to me that I want it that belongs to somebody else. So yeah, it starts all kind of gobbledygook. First murder in the Bible was a result of Okay, what was the first murder recorded in the Bible? Two brothers. Way back in the beginning. Sons of Adam and Eve. Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel. Okay, miscommunication between Cain and Abel. Coveting and jealousy between Cain and Abel. Girl problems between Cain and Abel, or D, bad breath. So what was the reason? The murder was a result of what? What one of those four? Okay, maybe. How about B? Coveting between and jealousy between Cain and Abel. Think about it this way. Abel, because he was offering the best of the best to God, God looked at with favor upon Abel and his offering. Well, Cain was offering just something he got out of the field. Oh, here, God, here's whatever I have left. And Cain saw that God had a better relationship with Abel than he did with Cain. And Cain became all bent out of shape about it. And he says, oh, I want that relationship with God. He was also jealous of that relationship that Abel had with God. So that's what caused Cain to murder his own brother. Another murder in the Old Testament involved King David coveting another man's house. Oh, this is a good story too. King David coveting another man's spouse. King David coveting another man's mouse. Cute. Or D, King David coveting tickets to the first Olympics. Cute. So, do you guys remember the story? Tyler's going, I think I remember the story. King David was in his palace. That's B. That's right. King David was in his palace, and he's looking out over on his porch, and in a house down a little bit down the hill was this young lady, and she was out on her porch, and he's going, wow, I really like this lady. She really looks cool. So he tells his servants to go down to that house, bring this lady up, and he has this relationship with her. The problem was she was the wife of one of his best friends. He'd been with Uriah through all the wars and everything else like that. These guys were too thick and thieves, and David realizes, he goes, oh no, I've got to cover myself. So David says to the commanders, Uriah was still with the army, and he's out in fighting wars, and David sends a message to the commanders and said, bring Uriah home. We're going to give Uriah a 30-day pass. So Uriah comes home. David's thinking he's going to go spend time with his wife, because what happened with David and Uriah's wife? She becomes pregnant. Now he's got to really try to cover this story all up. So Uriah comes home, and David's thinking he's going to spend time with his wife, and she's going to tell him he's pregnant, and he's going to think the child is Uriah's. Well, Uriah is a very honorable man. He told David, David says, well, why didn't you go in the house? Why didn't you spend time with your wife? He says, all my brothers in the army are laying out in the dirt and the mud. Uriah stayed out in the front porch. He slept out in the front porch to honor his brother's soldiers. So David sends Uriah back, and he sends a message with Uriah to the commanders. Wherever the fighting is the fiercest, put Uriah there and tell everybody on the front. He put him in the front line, which, if you're on the front line in old school war, your possibility of surviving is really, really low. But they said, and everybody take a step back away from Uriah. Make sure Uriah dies. And Uriah dies. And so David finds out, oh, Uriah has now passed away. He comes to Bathsheba. That's the wife's name. Your husband is dead. Now you can become my wife. Well, God saw through all that smoke screen. God saw through all that story, and he sends David David, he sends Nathaniel to David, and Nathaniel is David's pastor. Nathaniel tells a story about a rich man and this old man, and this old man had a little ewe lamb, and how the little ewe lamb was like a pet and everything else like that. Love this lamb. And the rich man goes up, hey, I want this lamb, and I'm going to take this lamb for my dinner for my friends. And David goes ballistic. That man should die for what he did. And all Nathan has to say this: you are that man. You've stolen something from somebody else. You wanted her so badly, coveting, that you were willing to kill your best friend for it. Oh, David goes and he realizes how bad his sin was, and David goes, I should die from this. And Nathaniel goes, you're not going to die. But the child that Bathsheba is carrying, that's going to be your consequence. The child will die. So when we want something so bad that belongs to somebody else, we get ourselves into some serious trouble. To covet someone's house means to want it so much that you scheme to get it from them, to want it so much that you make an offer on it through a realtor. You want it so much that you paint your name on the garage door. That would be bold and crazy. Or D, none of the above. A. Tyler, any thought? A, correct. Now let's back up a second. Let me back up a second. You want it so much that you make an offer on it through a realtor. That still is it's a means by which we covet. Let's say, for example, Andrew, you've got a friend of yours and you really like your friend's house. You think your family should be living in your friend's house. So you tell your dad, I want you to make an offer on my friend's house because I really want that house. Okay, your dad goes, well, I'll make an offer. Well, your friend's dad says, nope, we're not doing that. And then make an offer he can't refuse. In other words, pay so much for it that he can't refuse the amount of money that he's getting for this house. That's how people act when they want something. They make an offer. It's all legal, but it's still wrong. Because you're doing it because you're coveting after somebody else's house. The house commandment is really about, how about this one? All possessions of any kind, scheming to get things that don't belong to you, pretending to have a right to something that isn't yours. I think I know what the last one's going to be. All of the above. I think we're going to operate with D here. Luther talks about, God says, covet your neighbor's house. But house includes everything that's in the house. Like say, for example, you're over at your friend's house and he's got the really newest version of whatever game platform that's out there today. I don't even know what the newest versions are now. And you really like this, and he's got a really awesome game that's out there. Says, man, I really want this one. How much can I buy it from you? What do you mean? No, you can't buy me a game. You'll buy it yourself. And there's the difference between coveting and wanting. I wanted the game platform. I had the money for it, and I see that my friend's game platform is really, really cool. Yeah, I like to have that. You go out and buy it. But coveting is like, what I want yours. I don't want to get one of my own, but I want yours. And that's where the coveting gets into play. But everything that belongs within the framework of that household is what the commandment is talking about. The spouse commandment is really about all of a person's relationships, all of a person's loyalties, all of a person's friends and workers. And I think I know where we're going with this one. All of the above. Yes, all of the above. So I covet my neighbor's wife, manservant, maidservant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to my neighbor. In other words, I want to be able to possess, in a sense, everything that my neighbor has. And I want his stuff. I don't want a wife of my own. I want his wife. It's just all personal greed, I guess, for the lack of any better way of saying it is, it's a personal greed thing. To truly keep these commandments, we are to give up all earthly desires and become Buddhists. Nah, I know that was wrong. Help our neighbor keep their possessions. C, encourage all to remain loyal to their spouses, bosses, and commitments. Or D, B, and C. Which one do you think it might be? Okay, well, how about B2? Luther says in his explanation of the commandments, we understand that this belongs to our friend. We do not want to take it from him. We know that these relationships that he has are his relationships. And we celebrate that. But what if my friend is having some problems with this relationship, like with his wife or his boss, or he's having a problem being able to maintain his house, he's lost his job, and he's behind on his payments? Well, instead of taking from my friend, I say, how can I help you? That's a positive way of celebrating this. So, for example, if I've got, like Tyler, you've got a friend of yours, or kid that you ride with, that you rodeo with, and he's having a hard time being able to support his horse. I mean, dad's not working anymore. He's got to buy hay and stuff like that. So what do? Well, here, have some of mine. I got plenty. Stuff like that. Being helpful instead of thinking of myself, we think of the other. And that's what Jesus says when he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. And the second is like the first, love your neighbor as yourself. We demonstrate neighborly love in the context of these two commandments by helping them keep what they've got and helping them to engage in relationships that are stronger with one another. Exodus 20:17 tells us, you shall not covet your neighbor's possessions. You shall not covet your neighbor's relationships, both A and B, but not C. How does that make any sense? I think we're going to go with A and B. Okay. Yes, why are we all of a sudden doing this now? I don't know why we come up with that. Thank you. I know how to do this now. Forgot about that. Okay, so commandments 9 plus 10 equals 1 minus 8. I mean, math, that doesn't work. But yeah, it does. The covenant commandments wrap up all our following or not following commandments 1 through 8. So let's review, okay? What is commandment number 1? No other gods before me. That's right. So commandment number 2, therefore, is? Yep, very good. And number 3 has to do with today, the day of the week, special day of the week. Day that we honor God on, honor the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. There you go. Commandment number 4 has to do with those people we call parental units.
Father and mother.
Father and mother. Number 5. Has to do with people's property, and you. No, but and has to do with somebody else's property and your ability or inability to take it. No. What did I just do, Tyler?
Oh,
I stole your hat.
oh,
You're not stealing. Actually, that's 7. 5 is I shall not murder, hatred, anger, frustration, murder. When we talked about murder with that, Cain and Abel, and David and his friend Uriah. Number 6 is you shall not commit adultery, not have a relationship with somebody that is not your husband and or wife. Number 7 is the stealing one. Number 8, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You're not gonna, don't gossip, lie, cheat, steal your neighbor out of something. And the coveting commandments connect to all of those. The coveting commandment has to deal with my attitude. I want that. I want it so badly that I would be willing to do other things in order to take it from somebody, to get it in a way that is sneaky and scheming, to take away something that belongs to my neighbor, whether it's a relationship with a family member or whether it's a possession that my neighbor has. So how might coveting cause us to break the first commandment, the second the rest? The reality simply is this. When I covet something, I am so focused on me that I want what I want and I'm going to take it. That's coveting. And that coveting lies in with all the other ones. You know, I want, let's say, for example, you have a friend at school, but your friend is talking to somebody else and you don't like that. Well, what am I going to do about that person? Well, I'll tell lies about that person, so my friend won't like him anymore. That's coveting. Coveting is the means by which we break all the other ones. But then there's a means, definite definition. Okay, so let's move on from that one. Coveting versus wanting. Is it? Yeah. I talked about that a couple of minutes ago. Is it ever okay to covet? No. Is it? What's the difference between wanting and coveting? I've already kind of talked about that a little bit. What's the difference between scheming and coveting? Scheming is the way we get what we want when we covet it. Okay. Gambling or gaming. Okay. Why would gambling or gaming be coveting? Why do you think that would be coveting?
And gambling or taking somebody's possession.
There you go. I want what they've got. I want their money. I want their chips, and I'm going to play the game in order to make that happen. Yeah, exactly. Are gamblers breaking any other commandment when they gamble? Let me think. Yeah, could be. Could be. I think the most important one is they all go back to number 1. When we break any of the commandments, 2 through 10, it all relates to number 1. It all relates to our relationship with God. And we're acting as if that doesn't happen, or we're diminishing that relationship. So we're setting it off to the side. I'm kind of like pushing God off into the corner. And yeah, that's potentially very dangerous. On the lotteries. Have you guys ever bought a lottery ticket? Okay. No, I got a yes and a no. You think you get it, you got a shot at it. But then if you look at the odds on the ticket, it's like $1.1 million, 1.1 million to 1 that you could win. Now, buying one ticket, I mean, I'm investing in the public realm. I know I'm not going to win. It's not, the odds are so far against me that I use that as like kind of like a donation. But here's where coveting gets into a problem. Let's say if you have enough money to cover every possible combination of numbers, if you got enough money to invest and say, I'm gonna rig this, I'm gonna win. And you buy every ticket that's got every possible number combination. That's coveting. And that's where it gets a little crazy. Everybody thinks they can win. Coveting in the media. Well, this one's an interesting point. Some statements made in advertising. Some statements are made in advertising are like this. You really want this. And we're going to put it on sale so that you've got no choice. Oh, wow, it's so cheap now I can buy it. And I really want this. It feeds on it. It sometimes can feed on what's blatantly out there in the coveting realm. What happens when this commandment is kept or broken? Well, what happens when it's broken is somebody loses. Somebody loses something because I have a desire to take it from them. When it's kept, I am helping them keep. So nobody loses. So that's the difference between the keeping of the covenant commandments and not. Okay, what's that word? How about this? To want something that belongs to someone enough that we plot to get it, to be jealous of some. Sorry, I think we've already got that one. Shove it, covet, cute. The desire for the possessions or qualities of another, from Middle East, engai. Generally a feeling of discomfort regarding the desire for the possessions or qualities of another. Often people are green with this. We didn't talk this much about it. Envy. I really, really want what you got, and it makes me sick that I can't have it. That's envy. That's how envy works. And if you look at the picture, notice what color is in the face, every face. They're green with envy because they want something that somebody has. Okay. From Middle English, just resentful of something another person has. Zealous vigilance. Okay, I didn't think it was that. An envious attitude or disposition. Any thoughts what that word might be? I think the first one gave it away. Jealousy. I am jealous of what you possess. It makes me mad. Jealousy and envy are like twin sisters or twin brothers, whichever one you want to look at. Plotting or planning to cheat someone out of what is rightfully theirs, deceitfully working to take something or someone from another person, coveting something or someone enough leads to this, or rhymes with dreaming. Scheming, correct. When we covet, we scheme. It just works out that way. To try to lure someone into doing something that is wrong. The snake in the Garden of Eden did this by offering Eve an apple from the forbidden tree. Starts with a T, rhymes with tempt. Tempt. Yeah. Last two gave it away. Yeah, I'm tempting you. Did God really say? That was the temptation that started Adam and Eve on the wrong path with God. Did God really say? Okay. So Yeah, everybody is green with envy of something. Okay, moving right along. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or male or female slave, ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Other key verses. You can take a shot at those when you get home. Genesis 4, that's the story of Cain and Abel. 2 Samuel 11, the story of David and Bathsheba. Mark 8, Ephesians 5:3, Colossians 3:5, and James 4. Okay. Yep, rough in the way of the balloons. Let me get this straight. You've got money, cars, a cabin, 2 boats, a balloon, and you're still not happy. That's about it, Reverend. I've got it all, but I still feel this dull ache. Whenever I see someone with something I don't have, I get this overwhelming urge to take it from them. Crazy, huh? And the rest of the story is, you can always sell all that you have and give the money to the poor. Yeah, right. Get it on my balloon, bro. Okay, so bottom line is the commandments that cover the coveting help us to understand and connect back to God, saying, God, help me in my coveting. Is this thing, or is this person, is this relationship that important that I'm willing to ruin everything? And God's going to always say, no, but your relationship with me is the most important that we got. Okay. Wrapping up for the day. Did you guys learn anything new today? Anything new today that we learned? Okay. All right. Well, it just reinforced everything that you did know. That's cool. I like that. All right. Our theme verse, you shall not covet your neighbor's house, covet your neighbor's wife, manservant, maidservant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. We are not to scheme to obtain our neighbor's possessions, spouse, and or loyalties. Rather, we are to help people to keep what belongs to them. We are never to obtain our neighbor's possessions, spouses, or loyalties by coaxing them away or scheming to get them. In the fullest sense, these commandments mean that we are to help our neighbors keep everything that belongs to them. These are not suggestions, they're God's 9th and 10th commandments. Okay, so next week we're going to do a wrap up on all 10. So we're going to have a little bit of a mini quiz on the content of all 10 commandments. And then the week after that, we'll start talking about Jesus himself. We'll just start looking at the gospel accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay? All right. That's all I got for y'all. We'll see you in worship.